Welcome to the How to DIY Plumbing video. First of all, we're going to see how to fit an outside tap. Begin by applying a quantity of PTFE tape around the external thread, making sure that it's applied around the thread in the opposite direction to the thread. Most water authorities insist that a tap with a double check valve is used. This stops any contamination of backfed water. After applying the PTFE tape, screw the wall plate fitting to the tap. Locate the stop tap and turn off the water supply. There should be a drain-off valve nearby. Open this to drain off any water in the system. In addition, this process will be helped by opening a cold water tap inside the house. This lets air into the systems, forcing the water out of the drain-off valve. Locate a suitable cold water supply pipe and remove any lagging. Mark the position on the cold water pipe where it will need to be cut to feed the tap installation. Now mark the wall in order to fix the tap backplate. Drill and plug. Fix the tap to the wall using nickel screws. These will not rust. Cut the pipe at the position marked previously. Here we're using a pipe slice. A hacksaw can be used, but remember to clean off any burr if you decide to use this method. A section of the pipe will have to be removed to accommodate the fitting you're using. Here we're using a conventional T. In this case, we're using a solder fitting. Refer to the end of the tape to see an alternative method, compression fittings. Apply flux to the pipe and fitting. Now insert the T-joint. Other fittings will more than likely be required to get the water supply to the tap. Good plumbers merchants or DIY stores carry a comprehensive range of elbows, offsets, and other angles which you'll need at some time. Cut other lengths of pipe as required, remembering to flux all fittings and pipes. Assemble these as you go along. Most wall plate fittings are of the nut and olive type. Sealant paste will be required on this type of compression fitting. Ensure all fittings are pushed together tightly in preparation for soldering. Gradually heat the fitting and apply the solder until it runs freely around the joint. A general rule is that when the solder drops off the fitting, the joint is full and complete. However, a close look around the joint is recommended. Leave the fitting to cool gradually. Then wipe over with a damp cloth. Finally, tighten the compression fitting, steadying the tap. Turn on the stop tap. Make sure any drain-off valves are tightened. Now, dry your tap. Replace the pipe lagging, and the installation is complete. Plumbing in a washing machine. It's worth pointing out that this process is exactly the same for plumbing in a dishwasher. It can be carried out with the simplest of tools. In this installation, we're going to use a combined washing machine trap. Remove the standard trap from under the sink. Turn the water supply off at the stop tap and drain as before. Remove the nuts and olives from the washing machine fittings. Mark the portion of the pipe to be removed with a pencil. Using a pipe slice, remove this section. There will be some water left in the pipe. It's advisable to hold a bowl underneath. Put the nuts and olives onto the pipe and spread some sealant paste around the pipe above the olive. Repeat this process for both joints. Insert the washing machine T over the ends of the pipe. The fitting should be a tight fit, and you'll have to maneuver the pipes to complete the assembly. Finger tighten the nuts and line up the outlet to the desired position. Now tighten with an adjustable spanner. A second pair of grips will be needed to fully tighten. Connect your washing machine hose. Some washing machines and dishwashers only require a cold fill, in which case the installation is complete. If, however, your appliance requires a hot supply as well, repeat the process again, making sure the hot water supply has been isolated and drained. Now install your combination trap, inserting the appliance outlet hose. Make sure that none of the hoses are kinked. Replacing an immersion heater. Turn off the cold water supply that feeds the hot water tank. Isolate the electricity supply. Remove the cover. Disconnect the immersion heater wiring. While the hot water tank is still full, loosen the heater with an immersion heater spanner. Find the drain-off valve located at the bottom of the cylinder and drain off 2 to 3 pints of water. Now, remove the immersion heater. Note the corrosion caused by limescale. Now apply sealant paste around the thread of the new immersion heater. Place the fibre washer onto the collar of the immersion heater. Insert the new heater into the cylinder, taking care not to cross-thread it. Tighten by hand at first, then fully tighten with a spanner. Turn on the cold water supply to the cylinder. To remove any air at the top of the cylinder, open the nearest hot water tap until water flows freely. Turn the tap off. Rewire the new heater and replace the safety cap. Changing a set of taps. Turn off the hot and cold supplies. Open the taps to drain off any excess water. Remove your new set of taps from the packaging. Dismantle the tap head. This process may vary depending on the taps you've chosen. With a pair of adjustable grips, remove the center of the tap. This is done to clean out any debris or swarf left inside the tap from the manufacturer. Clean the insides and washers. Now reassemble. By using a tap tightener, remove the old taps from the basin. Replace the old taps with the new ones. For ease of demonstration here, we've shown how the tap is connected away from the basin. Replace the fibre washer on the swivel tap connector and tighten up the tap with the tap tightener. Again, we've demonstrated this away from the taps. Replacing tap washers and reseating taps. Turn off the hot and cold water supplies. Open the taps to drain off excess water. Remove the tap head as before. Don't be too concerned about small amounts of water when removing the tap heads. Note how the washer is worn. It would only be a matter of time before this tap would start to drip. Check for any rough edges in the tap aperture. Insert your universal reseating tool. Tighten with the locking nut. Turn the mandrel clockwise to remove any swarf buildup. This will polish the tap seating. Now remove the reseating tool. Replace the rubber tap washer. Make sure that you replace like with like, as there are many different shapes and sizes available. Now, reassemble the tap. Changing a ball valve. As with all plumbing jobs, isolate the water to the appliance. Remove the cistern lid and flush. Disconnect the ball valve by removing the retaining nut at the side. Unscrew the ball valve float, as this item can be reused. Most arms are purchased without the float. Screw the float onto the new arm. Position this in the cistern. Adjust the back nut so that the fitting extends to the correct distance through the cistern. Put on a sealing washer and insert. Connect to the locking nut and hand tighten. Remove the old fibre washer, replacing this with a new one. To maintain a watertight seal, offer the swivel up to the fitting, taking care not to cross-thread it. Tighten with adjustable spanners. Turn on the water supply and fill up the cistern. Fitting a service valve. It is advisable to fit service valves to all water-consuming appliances. This will make isolation easier. Here we're fitting a service valve to an outside tap. As before, turn off the water supply and drain down. Mark the position of the valve. Now remove the tap from the wall. Cut the section of pipe to be removed with a pipe slice. Fit the nuts and olives over the pipework and smear with sealant paste. Fit together and tighten by hand. Now reassemble. Refit the tap back to the wall. Tighten the compression fitting with 2 sets of spanners, one to hold the fitting and one to tighten. Turn on the water supply and test the isolating valve. Pipe bending and soldering. There are 2 types of plumbing joints: a compression fitting, which consists of a nut and olive. When the nut is tightened, it compresses the olive onto the pipe. Remove the nuts and olives from the fitting, fit these to the pipe, Smear sealing paste around the top of the copper pipe. Assemble the pipe and fitting together. Hand tighten the nuts to the fitting, then with 2 pairs of spanners, tighten up the fitting. The alternative is solder joints. Spread a liberal amount of flux onto the surfaces to be soldered together. Assemble the fittings. Heat the areas to be soldered, remembering to use lead-free solder when joints come into contact with drinking water. Apply the solder until the joint is full. Wipe over the pipework when it's cooled with a dampened cloth. As with the fittings, there are 2 ways to bend pipes. Firstly is the pipe bending spring. Insert the spring into the pipe. Now bend the pipe over your knee, gradually forming a 90-degree bend. Take the bend just past 90 degrees, then reduce it back. This will enable easy removal of the spring. Secondly, there is the pipe bending machine. These can be purchased from merchants or hired from tool hire companies. Insert the pipe into the bender, place the former on top of the pipe. The pipe can now be bent to any angle with relative ease.